And good evening, everyone. I'm Tony Cardasco, along with a couple of former Rebels, UNLV former quarterback, and now Rebel broadcast analyst on the radio airways, Caleb Herring, Devontae Davis, the talented UNLV wideout. And tonight we're going to take a look back at one of the greatest UNLV Rebel football comebacks as we relive tonight UNLV against Central Michigan from Sam Boyd Stadium circa September of 2013. UNLV entered this game at 0-2, a couple of losses on the road at Minnesota. They also lost to Arizona at home the previous week. Caleb, let's start off with you as we get into the game. The Rebels had to win this game, and you played a very big role in the contest, and you brought the Rebels back at quarterback when you spelled Nick Sherry. Talk about it.
Well, yeah, it was a big game. Like you said, 0-2. Every season starts with the highest of hopes, and to come out of the gates 0-2 in non-conference against a couple of tougher opponents in Minnesota and Arizona, it was, Central Michigan was kind of the game where we felt like we would get back to winning and get to show everybody that we had the capability of winning this season. And out of the gates, it was a rough one. It was a tough start for our team as a whole, and definitely the quarterback position was struggling a bit. I didn't start the season at quarterback, so this game had some implications for me coming into it. It was already known that the struggle at quarterback was going on, so I had the potential of getting in a few series deep, and we were going to kind of rotate the quarterback position like that. But the way things ended up, I ended up taking the helmet, and the rest was history after that. But this game was big. It was a pivotal point for us to kind of look ourselves in the mirror after starting off 0-2 and
the previous week.
Try to get back to winning. I think this game, the fashion that we won it was pivotal in turning the season around.
The Rebels had to win this game, and you made some really big plays, as we'll see here. The Rebels get down in a deep hole. They were down 21-0. So please, fans, bear with us here for a little while. But Devontae, you made some extraordinary plays in the contest. Talk about at what point did you feel that the comeback would happen in this contest, or even down 21-0?
Like you said, 0-2. Every season starts with the highest of hopes.
We kept saying on the sideline, like once we kind of get our groove going, we were going to be able to beat this team.
A couple of tougher opponents in Minnesota and Arizona
on the outside that they can compete with us. So once we got it going, I knew it.
It was Central Michigan was kind of the game where we felt like we would get back to winning and get to show everybody that we had
for the rest of the team. We kind of felt that comfortable. It's time to go. And then once the second half started, you saw what we were.
Out of the gates, it was a rough one. It was a tough start for our team as a whole, and definitely the quarterback position was struggling a bit.
We knew
I didn't start the season at quarterback, so this game had
against Minnesota and didn't. Fell short to Arizona.
September,
it was already known that
UNLV entered this.
We got the talent to do it. We need to make it happen.
So there we see, we see
I had the
State
potential of getting 2 series deep, and we're going to kind of rotate
by
quarterback position like that. But
Nick Sherry and Caleb said he was struggling. Now, fans, we are going to take your questions tonight.
This game was big. It was a pivotal point for us to kind of look ourselves in the mirror after starting off 0-2
previous week. Whatever program you're watching tonight here in obviously with the Rebels tonight, please join us. Ask your questions. The guys are here. Caleb's here. Devontae's here. And let's talk about the game. And we could talk about UNLV football.
So
this quarterback, this Cooper Rush, drive, man, he's pretty good. Yeah.
So the first drive, actually, we started off good defense, forced a 3-and-out that first drive of the game, and then, like you said, that first interception on the second play offensively. So coming into the game, I had prepared like a starter, like I said, because there was the potential that I'd be getting in this game. So, and like Devontae said, we saw a lot of stuff on film, and even when the game started, that we knew we had some good stuff against them. We knew they weren't anything special. It wasn't anything scary on film that showed up. So you see the first couple of series offensively, we just couldn't find a rhythm. And kind of the story of UNLV football today even is, or at least as recent as last season, was that the defense could come out playing lights out for the first couple of drives and 3-and-outs and forcing turnovers. And you see the 2 possessions in, the score's still 0-0 here. But then the offense sputtering out of the gates. Eventually, the defense tires out for being on the field so much, and then you get 21-point deficits because of that. But the offense was just not clicking on all cylinders for the first few possessions. And like I said, I prepared during the week as if I was going to start. So the game plan, I was really up, into the film and into the studying what the game plan was going to be. So I'm sitting on the sidelines during all this, the first couple of series, and I'm just thinking like, man, the stuff that we dialed up, the stuff we drew up in the film room is there. It's all there. We just got to get to it.
Yeah.
And that goes to what Devontae was saying. We never felt like on the sideline like this team was some juggernaut that we couldn't beat. It was more of a come on, get our stuff together, and we can find a rhythm. And then once we did that, it started clicking. But early on, that's really what you saw was our offense just couldn't get anything going. Defensively, they started off, like I said, out of the gate, 2 3 and outs, or got off the field, forced a punt for the first 2 possessions. And because we couldn't do anything on the offensive side, they just ran out of the gas, it looked like, early in that first quarter.
Looking at Central Michigan. Yeah, they're moving the football here, and they're doing it by keeping the Rebels off balance, Devontae.
Yeah. I mean, looking at this game, it's been a long time. Like, it was crazy. You remember it like it's yesterday, like playing in this game and how everything kind of transpired. But you're looking at the talent like that we had on this team from, Tim and Taj Hassan on defense, Kenny Penny on defense, Tani Maka. Like, the team was loaded. Tyler Gaston, Tyler Tulele, Tani Maka, Dre, Frank, like just a really, really good team all the way around. And we just, like I said earlier, we knew we had the talent to beat this team. Once we got it rolling, we were able to make it happen.
And watching the defense early flying around. The defense early was flying around. You mentioned some of the names on there. Penny Vea, I just remember him all the time, our strong safety. He was one of the hardest hitters on the defense. And, he had the hair coming out like Troy Polamalu. And so it was the way we played against each other this offseason and the way we played against each other in practice, we knew how good we were and, like, how capable we were on the defensive side and on the offensive side. And it was, one of those things where we're coming into the season with these great expectations. And we did a good job making sure we checked our crossed our T's, dotted our I's during the summer. So to come out and watch it on the film, we knew we weren't putting our best product out. And that was the most frustrating thing about watching, this touchdown here. This team that we feel is, we're better than. We should be competing with this team and should have been, been put up points on this team. And watching them go down the field after a few unsuccessful drives by our offense from an offensive standpoint, was frustrating because we kind of knew we were the problem early on. We did nothing in the first quarter to help our defense out, and that resulted in the first 7 points. And then, it was planned. I think a lot of people don't realize this. It was planned that I would take over for the third or second series offense based on if Nick was in a rhythm or not. And that was something we discussed all week in practice. So it was a shock to fans, I guess, maybe that I came in on this series and I came in and we went 3 and out that first series, but everybody on our sideline knew that at some point there's going to be a quarterback shakeup just to see if we can find some rhythm. And it ended up working out in the long run, but this drive was actually planned for me to take over. So that's something that a lot of people probably didn't realize about this game. I wasn't shocked that I got in at this point. I had prepared like the starter all week.
There was that was an 11-play, 68-yard drive. What's that?
I said we Caleb get in, we still go 3 and out. What's up, Caleb? Come on now.
Hey, you guys took some time to adjust. You guys have to catch up.
I'm joking.
Yeah, but those are the types of drives that take it out of you too, defensively. So you had better get something on the offensive side, right? Hey, fans, we'll take your questions, so please drop them in there. Go ahead.
I think that first 3 and out, we went 3 and out, but that was the first time on a drive that we got any kind of production. I mean, we completed the pass. It was just a yard short of the first down on that third, and I think it was 3rd and 5 or 3rd and 6, and we got a 5-yard pickup, which doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things, but at least we felt like we got something out of the drive we were able to capitalize on. So we moved the ball a little bit. So we started inching our way into a rhythm, and you don't want to do it like that. You like to come out of the gates, but I think everybody as a whole did a good job of staying with it. I think we all realized that we had some good stuff, and we just had to get to executing it. The feeling on the sideline from the players, at least, I can't speak to the coaches on the headset. Who knows what they were talking about, but the players on the sideline, it was a feeling of we know what we got is good. Like, we got something against this team. They're not better than us. We're lining up against them like, I'm winning against my guy. Devontae telling me he's beating his guy on this route. He's beating his guy on that route. And it became frustrating that we weren't performing, not necessarily that they were better than us. So I think it's a very different perspective from the sideline during this game than it was probably the anxious fans thinking that here we go again, another loss, another losing season for the Rebels. But our attitude on the sideline never really changed.
You mixed it up a lot too, Caleb. I saw early on in the game, which maybe you saw some adjustments later on, where you had some running lanes, and then also the fact that you threw to 10 different receivers really had to, keep Central Michigan off balance a little bit themselves.
Yeah, and I think the game after this against Western Illinois, me and Devontae joked about it that I think the next game Devontae you went 3 touchdowns, 170 yards or something like that in this game, and the next game you had 1 reception for 8 yards, and it was like, man, how do you go from number 1 to barely getting a touch? And it was, I think at that point in the season, I knew Devontae was the number 1 guy without a question. I think everybody knew that, but I think my senior season especially, and this game is, a microcosm of that. I got into a real good rhythm and habit of taking what the defense gave me. I wasn't going to necessarily zero in on the number 1 guy. Yeah, he's the number 1 option, but if the defense gives me number 2 and 3, I got to be willing to take that. And guys like Mike Kamata-Ele, who was a walk-on and came out of nowhere, Jerry Rice Jr. on this team.
Jerry Rice Jr., you threw a couple of passes to him.
Yeah, this was probably one of his best statistical games. Yeah, as far as receptions and yardage, he probably had one of his best games this game. And it was partly because Marcus Sullivan, who was out for this game, and he didn't come back until the New Mexico game later in the season. That slot receiver spot was reserved for Marcus as usual, the big playmaker that he was. So, but I was willing to there. Anthony Williams was a freshman in this game, so he was getting touches. But it was all about taking what the defense gave us, and I think that's what got us back into the game. It wasn't trying to force anything. It wasn't trying to get it all back at once. It was kind of methodically taking what the defense gives us. And there, Devontae with a drop on an easy hitch pass right there.
It's a drop, huh? I appreciate
it's a drop.
Appreciate you setting me
up. Coach C.
Hey, Devontae, they were roughing you up. We'll watch this as the game goes on. But how physical were they defensively on you? Because I could have almost called a PI on every single attempt. And I thought that was a catch right there.
It was a catch. It was a catch. I think they called PI. I can't remember what the flag was.
No, there was no. I don't think that was.
They threw a flag, I think, for PI, but they waved it after. They
waved it off.
No call. Yeah,
they waved it off.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
but I mean, they got to be
caught that in bounds.
I think so. I can't remember. But
number 35, by the way, is Tim Cornette. If you're watching at home,
it's a beast.
Yeah, talk a little bit about him, about his game, Devontae, for fans that don't know.
For us, he opened the passing game up. I mean, leading rusher all-time UNLV history. Me and this guy grew up together, so obviously, I don't have nothing but respect and kind words for him. That's still my best friend to this day. So. That's my boy, but no, I mean, watching him play at UNLV, he was amazing. Like I said, the all-time rushing leader, career touchdowns. I mean, he was phenomenal. Absolutely one of the Rebel greats. But for me, this junior year, he helped out because I mean, everyone had to key in on our rushing attack because of how good he was. Anytime I had a lot of touchdowns, we were actually competing with yards and touchdowns every game. So if you tried to key in on me, he was going to take advantage of you. But if you tried to key in on him and get us one-on-one outside, me and Caleb was going to, torch you as well. So we had a great balance of offense.
And that really kind of helped throughout the season. It was like if the running game was struggling, they were loading the box. They really couldn't because we could pass it efficiently, and vice versa. If the pass game was, if you dropped 8 and rushed 3, Tim and that O-line was going to make you pay for it. And watching some of the games and thinking back on it, Tim was a workhorse. I mean, we had at times sporadic depth behind him. Shaquille Murray-Lawrence this year came in, and it was his first year, so he was kind of new to the team. But Tim was kind of consistent all 4 years that he played. So he was that number 1 guy since the freshman year. So he was on the field a lot, just a workhorse, just, in pass protection, doing his thing and running the ball. Obviously, out of the backfield this season, he started to come on more as a threat out of the backfield in the passing game. So definitely a workhorse that we leaned on a lot, and it paid off because he got us to, he's a big part of getting us to the bowl game this season.
Someone just texted me and asked me, how come there's no names on the back of the uniforms?
So we for years, everybody that watches the Rebels
it's not 24-0 right there. Sorry about that.
Yeah, the score was a little messed up.
They screwed up the score.
Right there. It was 21-0 at this point, but
21-0
about the uniforms. About the uniforms, it was UNLV for a long time was behind the curve, to say the least, with the uniform upgrade. So now we got all the uniforms from the most high tech, the most fancy looking stuff. I forgot people that follow the program now, but back in the day, it just wasn't a thing that we were going to spend the money on or for whatever reason. We will say the best reason I could think of is that we wanted to be recognized as one team. We didn't have time for individual recognition. It was the name on the front of the jersey, I guess, succeeding. Once that team succeeded, then you get your name on the back, which we did have our names on the back of our jerseys for our bowl game. We had special uniforms for the bowl game, which I guess that we earned our names on the back and got to keep those jerseys too. But I still got mine. So.
Yeah.
So we just want to remind the fans, guys, just for a moment, that we're taking deposits, 739 fans, UNLVtickets.com, $50 deposit will secure your ticket for the upcoming season. And again, just dial it up, 739 fans, UNLVtickets.com. And we will take your questions as well. Tony Cardasco with Caleb Herring and Devontae Davis. Caleb, did you actually? I missed the call. I missed the question. So we'll get back to that.
Completes it into the arms of Courtney Williams for gain of 13.
So this point in the game is when we realized it's kind of crunch time. Our defense, after that last touchdown, kind of realized they had to dig in before the half. It was kind of our thing, deferring to receive. So we kick off in the first half, trying to get that 14-point swing. So scoring going into the locker room at halftime, and then trying to score that first possession of the third quarter coming out. So this drive right here was big for the defense to try to come up with a stop so that we can basically make a 14-point swing and cut into the lead, which, is huge. The defense comes up with a stop on this drive here. You see, guys flying around. It's a battle for the defense. And we gave up 21 points, and it happened in a flash, but our defense still played lights out for most of this game. I think 3 quarters they pitched a shutout. After that was the last touchdown that Central scored. So I think a lot of people remember the offensive stats, but it was a phenomenal job on defense once they settled in and once we started helping them out. And that was Taj Hassan, one of the most tough defenders to throw against as a corner, because he was big, he was rangy, and he was fast. He was one of the fastest guys on the team. So he just had a big pass breakup right there on third down to get us the ball back. And this 2-minute drive was really when things turned around for the offense right here.
Yeah, I remember we were in the huddle and Tim was like, "We need a score right here. Like we knew we couldn't go into the locker room with no points on the board, whether it was 3 or 7. We needed to get something going." And Caleb finally threw the ball.
so this 2-minute drive, a lot of people don't how much Coach Tim Rosenbaugh took over as offensive coordinator during the spring. And I remember we had this thing called Rebel, and it was our no-huddle portion of practice. And here's the deep pass to Devontae that if we're going to point to one play that turned the season around, this was it. That 50-yard bomb that Devontae cut his route short on.
No, it could have been a touchdown. His arm wasn't big enough.
So that play really sparked it.
Hey, guys, we've got some questions. Yeah. It's a big play. Caleb, did you actually believe that you'd win as many games as you did after this comeback?
Oh, man.
It's a question coming from Instagram. Yep.
So this driver here, as we finished that drive off with that touchdown, Devontae jump ball specialist, which, anytime we went 3-by-1 to Devontae singled up in the red zone, I was giving him a chance. So, but to answer that question, the first 2 games of the season, obviously, Devontae said earlier, we thought we should have won the Minnesota game. And that was a close game on the road, first game of the season. Arizona kind of handled us, and we didn't really have much of an answer to that. But the way this game started, there was that point where we thought maybe, here it goes again. But as a team, the players on the team never thought that we were out of contention in any of our conference opponents. Like against anybody in our conference, we all knew that we could compete. We had a good group of seniors, a lot of seniors on this team, and upperclassmen that had played and had playing experience. So we knew that we had a team that was capable of winning. I'm not going to say we knew each game. I'm not going to say, because I had no reason to think we would win every game. They roll the ball out there. You never know who's going to come out on top any given week. But we had confidence in ourselves that we could compete with every team. And I think this game helped that confidence grow. We went on to win 4 games in a row after this, or 3 more after this. So a 4-game winning streak. And yes, it was just a total belief in ourselves. It really didn't matter the results. We just knew we were good enough to compete. And like we said, going into the locker room was important to score. We got that 7 points on the board, and then coming out of the locker room, which became kind of our MO later in the year, where we would, anytime we had the ball coming out of the locker room, we were great at making adjustments, and we came out again firing on all cylinders and did that 14-point swing we were talking about earlier.
Devontae, we have a question. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I said to piggyback on that, I thought, I think we won 7 games that year. We really could have won more. We were right there in a tight battle. Most of them should have went our way, but a call there or a mistake there cost us the game. But we did do a better job this year, and it was the same way the year before. So that 2012 season, we were right there in a lot of games, and we lose right down there at the end. But as we got older and we matured a little bit, we were able to close out some games and win them. Like I said, a couple more games this year we could have won. Like I could envision a 9-10 win season out of this year.
We had another question. Was Devontae Boyd on this team?
He wasn't. Not this year. He came in as a true freshman and started the year after, and was a freshman All-American. Great player. Kind of took him under my wing. We had very, very similar, upbringings and things like that. So he came out and played amazing all year. That dude is special.
From Verbally Ill, we have another quick question here, Caleb. Not a question, but Verbally Ill says, I think they need to make a 30-30 about your career. What a great comeback story.
I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to it. I think, it has definitely, it might, I wouldn't mind participating in that. But I think, the more important thing is I enjoyed myself for the first time. I had a, if you followed my story, if you knew about me, I had a tough time. And Devontae can attest to that. We were roommates coming into this season, and it was just a tough time for me dealing with, the things I went through. But this season made it worth it. I mean, I did something that I only dreamed about doing before I started college. And this is kind of when, the hot streak for me started at the end of the second quarter into the third quarter, where I just got in a zone. And I had a few times like that where the game really slowed down to me and football became fun. It wasn't a chore to go to practice. It wasn't tough going to games. And there's Tim Cornette putting up the second touchdown.
To the house. To the house.
Yeah,
right
so
there.
the season made it worth it. And I think this game was one of those moments. And I get the question a lot about this game. I think a lot of fans that follow the team this year always said that this game was one that stuck out to them. For me personally, this wasn't the biggest game. I always think about Reno first. That Reno game for me personally was a redemption game for me. I had history with that team. Of course, the universities have history, so that game meant a lot. The Hawaii game, which was another legendary game at Sam Boyd, when you talk about the way we were able to win that game. So there's other things that stick out. This game for me was an audition to get my job back. Like I had been, fired from quarterback essentially, and this was my chance to prove that I was worth it. So I got in the field, and my determination in this game was, getting in and try to win it, but I wanted to stay on the field at whatever cost. I wanted to grade out good. I wanted to make the right decisions to help the team succeed. And that's what I remember most about this game, is just trying to make sure I was a quarterback again. So, of course, the end result was what it was, and that was great. And it went on to be great things. But this game for me does have a big meaning, but it's not my number one, achievement, I guess, if you will. This turned it around, but there was a lot more that happened this season that we were proud of as a team.
We've got a question from YouTube from North X-Town. Reno's biggest crowd ever was when you all played them over there that year. How was the environment, and what do you remember about that game?
I'll answer this one. Reno, anytime we went over there, is a hostile environment. I remember they had fans, anytime we would walk out, they had fans near us. They would throw Coach Hawk would always tell us, put your helmets on. I got a battery thrown at me, a couple coins, things like that. So it's always a hostile environment. But in a little section of the arena, of the field, there was UNLV fans, and they were all wearing red. So you can see that, you can see them, and they screamed the loudest. I mean, everything about that game was great. I think we were clicking early with Micah Mattielli catching the first touchdown, and then after that, the rest was history. I do remember that clock hitting 0, and we were in victory position, and just running over there to grab the cannon. Oh man, it was awesome. I think they had it for the past 7 years before we went over there and took it. So maybe even longer. So it was special for us to go over there and get it.
Guys, Mark Wallington just had a question. It was a hot September night. Do you think that it helped that you guys played in the heat? Did it help you to wear down a team from Michigan in that comeback?
That was always definitely a part of our advantage, and it still is to this day. In Vegas, I think early games in the year, especially late August, early September, when the summer heat in Vegas is still pretty prevalent. It's 98 degrees at 7 o'clock at night, sometimes in the desert. So I think that definitely plays a role with a lot of teams that aren't from this region. And Central Michigan, we don't play them often. They don't know how to adjust to that. Being from Michigan, this isn't their type of weather. So I think there is an element of preparation that you have to go in and you have to be aware of that. Not a lot of teams that don't play us very often. So it definitely down the stretch probably became a factor. I think that might have been had a minor impact, but I think the bigger factor was we executed. It came to a point in the game where defensively, you seen here, defense flying around, blitzing, this tackle right here. Oh, man, Frank, Penny, they game tackle. 3 guys on the ball right there. They're fired up, having a good time.
Look at the confidence.
The momentum's on our side.
It really shifted. The confidence on defense, confidence on offense. Everything, really shifted. We were all having fun, being passionate about it out there and playing with each other. And I think that really, really stuck out. The reason why we came back in this game.
And it was the total team effort. We bonded so well as a team. My whole career at UNLV, we had summer workouts and we did things as a team outside of the season. But this season, off season in particular, I remember we were taking attendance at summer practices. The coaches weren't present. We're taking roll at the gate for guys coming out to 7-on-7 and being there. We had the best summer sessions that I ever remembered, and it paid off because defensively, we knew what the defense was doing. They knew that was a big third down catch again by Vontae. Always make yourself available on third down. But and then this bomb right here that you bobbled, I laid a dime for you. You bobbled this one.
You did.
Ended up being a touchdown.
I thought it wasn't. I was like, I probably didn't score.
You got to show it. You did the right thing.
I showed it. That's the Coach C thing. Show it. Act like you scored.
Yeah. So that was a big, and that one tied the game up. So we're now 21-21 after the extra point. So that was big. But like I said, the offseason workouts is where this team really made the most strides. And I mean, we held each other accountable. The defense, we were never enemies throughout the season. We battled like crazy during the offseason, but during this game, we were picking each other up. The defense had our back. We were holding them down. We were getting fired up off the plays they made. They were getting fired up off the plays we made. And it was the team all around was clicking. And you see some of these pass breakups. That's Penny again on a dive and laying out. You see the defense getting fired up. And like I said, pitched a shutout in the second half. So they play lights out too. And a lot of people don't, I always give defensive credit. You got 2 offensive guys on here talking about it, but those guys play lights out. And multiple points during the season, they held down the fort for us while the offense got it together. But this game was really just us coming into our own. And the rest of the season was, you saw us putting our best foot forward. And, credit this game a lot. You see there another screen set up, game tackle. They were fired up about playing. Where in the first quarter, it was low energy, guys not really flying around. But in the second half, they turned it on and pitched that shutout and allowed us to open up the gate. And offensively, watching this game, I think I look at it now and I'm like, we left stuff on the field. There was a pass not too long ago. I threw it. It was just a blatant overthrow. And and there's going to be one later that I remember. I threw the ball about 10 yards over Devontae's head, and he's wide open on the hit on the 10-yard line, third down conversion we missed. I think we ended up settling for a field goal there. But those plays stick out more to me. And the stats after the game, somebody handed me the stat sheet, and that's the first time I realized what I did as far as completion. And then it was like, wow, that's crazy. And then it dawned on me till the next day that, that was a record. And I was like, really? It was that good of a game? But, while we're in the moment, we don't feel any of that. We're just clicking as a team, gelling, and everything's coming together. Even when it looks bad, we still found a way to make it happen. So this was one of the most fun experiences for me. Once we took, at this point in the game, we're in the driver's seat, and we couldn't miss. We were doing whatever we wanted. You're feeling yourself as offensive coordinator when you call a reverse pass, and there's Micah going up and getting it. Lefty, true freshman, throwing a pass down the field. Could have been a touchdown, but just running plays like that. And this is one of my plays I would like to forget. Got to step up in the pocket, but. And I'm telling Tim that's my fault, but and I think the pass keeps coming up here where I threw it about 10 yards over your head, and it's embarrassing now because you were so open, but the play was designed. It was Dino Wycor. I don't know if you remember it. double ends by the two outside, and Michael was supposed to pop open on the corner route. And I had my mind made up that I was throwing it to him.
That was a touchdown.
And then at the last minute, he popped out, and I threw it to you, and I didn't get my shoulders around, bad fundamentals, and it was a bad throw. But, we settled for we settled for a field goal.
We've got some more questions. And speaking of field goals, this question comes from YouTube, from Nolan Cohorst. Caleb, which is harder, holding or playing quarterback? You were the holder too, yeah?
Yes, I was the holder. I stayed the holder even when I took over as a starter. And I'll tell you what, overall, I think it's pretty obvious that quarterbacking is more of an intense and scrutinized and tougher position to master. But the field goal against Hawaii, which was a game-winning field goal, I think a lot of people focus on the kicker, not missing it and all that stuff. But the center exchange with that getting that ball down in that pressure situation, the only thought going through your mind is don't mess this up. Don't be the reason. Tony Romo, the picture of Tony Romo sitting on the goal line holding his face mask after he muffed that snap for the Cowboys, which is always going through my head. So it's an intense pressure situation. I don't think people realize how tough it is. If you don't go down there and try that ball down so the kicker can get it off from your knees, it's a tough thing to do. But Nolan's doing that because he always said I was always the best holder. I was a better holder than I was a quarterback. So major love for Nolan for, I think at some point.
Shout out to Nolan, man.
He was the all-time leading scorer at UNLV for one point because he made so many PATs and that pressure field goal against Hawaii. But no, it definitely was hard though, the hold. I think people don't appreciate that. And there's a big interception. I think that was Penny, his first interception of his career.
Yeah, that was Penny
right there. So that was big for him, and we were all fired up about that because he was known as the hitter. So it wasn't his forte to cover. So when he got the interception, it was like I told you so. Like I can be on the field and any down. So that was big for him getting the ball back. And they had a pretty good drive going there, but Penny stepped in making that play was big right there.
Another question from YouTube for Caleb and Devontae. Where does this game rank? This is from Sarah Saj. Where does this game rank in terms of most memorable or favorite of your career?
I would say it's in the top 5 or so. You got to go with the Reno game, kind of taking that canon as number 1. San Diego State was always a battle, so I would put that up there at number 2. And then we took them down. We kind of blew them out this year at the end of the game. So, and actually, our head coach for this year ended up going to San Diego State. So it was good to take it to him that year. We had a couple great wins, but I would say this one was probably in the top 5, most memorable, just because it turned the season around. It took us to our first bowl game in some odd years, and it all started with this game.
Caleb, this is from Mr. G. For another question for Mr. G. I'm sorry, and elaborate on that last question too. But whatever happened to Nick Sherry? This person, Mr. G, said that he showed a lot of promise.
Well, so Nick's, this, and I know from personal experience that losing a job like that, it sucks and it's tough. And I think Nick took a different approach to handling it. Nick was a very academic individual. So he graduated early, actually. I think he ended up getting his degree in 3 years, if I'm not mistaken. So he had options in life, and I think decided that football wasn't the avenue he was going to pursue anymore. And I don't know if this game or this had anything to do with it. He was a good friend to me all season. We hung out all the time being in the quarterback room, even before this and even after during the season. He enjoyed the ride, and we enjoyed each other. And now he's, I can't speak to what his decision making was for his career choices for that. I think it's documented. Everybody knows that he didn't play football.
Stop watching the stream. I'm going to turn the stream off, and I'm supposed to.
But he ended up actually moving back to Northern California. And the last time I spoke to him, he had, he got married. He has a baby now. I don't know how old now, but he has a
There's
child
a big
now.
catch there.
Yeah, I didn't think my foot was in right there.
You think your foot was in? Another one.
Don't celebrate. Everybody just run off the field. I didn't score, but I guess my foot was in. I guess so.
Not on the TV copy, you can't see it, but our video technician actually has a copy of it. He was in the corner of the end zone right there. You could see your foot got in. Yeah. So I mean, I don't know how you got it down, and like I said, you hurt yourself trying to get it down. But
you don't even think
going back
about
to
it.
the
I just
question.
knew I was close, and I was like, let me just dab and see what happens.
That's instincts, man. That's God given. You can't. can't coach that. But
Yeah.
going back to the question about my top, where this game ranks, as far as memorable or favorite, it's definitely top 5 favorite. I think Reno for me goes number 1. The redemption story for me personally, that was my worst game and probably the worst game ever played by a quarterback. Was the last time I played up in Reno. I threw 8 passes and had 1 completion for like 8 yards for the game. I don't know if Wallington probably has the stats. He would probably be able to tell you. But coming back in the next time I played them there, playing the way I did and winning that, it felt good. So that's number 1. Number 2 for me would be probably Air Force this year, because the feeling of winning that game and becoming bowl eligible, I'll never forget that. Celebrating on the field and 17 under with the team and realizing that we're bowl eligible for the first time in who knows how long at that point. But that was up there. San Diego State was senior night for me. I think I threw 5 touchdowns that game and ran for 1. So that was one of my best games ever. So I'll always remember that. And then this one probably comes, hindsight, probably number 4, number 5 on that list, just because of, like I said, how pivotal it was for me getting the job back and turning the season. Turned it around. So definitely top 5 for me. And then here's Frank with a big, the icing on the cake here, kind of to get that pick. And man, he was a ball hog. Even in practice, I used to hate throwing in Frank's way, because he was one of those defenders that didn't really go with the script of what he was supposed to be on defense. And he just always hunted for the ball. So,
he would go make a play.
It was crazy.
We want to remind everyone that we're going to be doing more of these Relive series events. Stay tuned next Friday, probably in the same time slot. And check, of course, social media, particularly Twitter, from UNLV Athletics and UNLV Football. Special thanks again to the Mountain West Conference for giving us the video and permission. And what a great time tonight, having you guys and reminiscing and throwing it back. I wanted to get your impression, both of you, about the direction of the football program now under Mark Arroyo.
Oh man, so I'm still being in Vegas still and involved with the program still. It was an exciting time for UNLV football. It still is, with everything, with what's going on right now with the world. It's a little bit hard to put context to it. But that with signing day and the recruits that we brought in this season, and with Coach Arroyo and his staff taking over, and the facilities and the stadium on the horizon, it's an exciting time for alumni and fans alike to be involved with UNLV Athletics. I think it's a good time to get behind and start supporting Rebel Athletics if you haven't already. With what TJ Alsenberger and the basketball team even did this season, and getting some excitement back at the MAC was fun to be a part of. That the way they finished conference play was awesome, and that kind of momentum in other sports rolling through. But the football program is on the right track, and I'm excited about it. Like I said, being involved with it and being able to do some sit downs with some of the current players and watching them kind of develop, and the trajectory of the program is up right now. And, I know it's hard to keep that in perspective with what's going on in the world, but next season is going to be fun. Wins and losses, they come, but the program's doing the right things right now to make sure that they're putting a great product on the field for the fans.
You talk about imagine for the recruits. Could you imagine, Devontae, for the recruits, how exciting you come in and you go to the Fertitta complex, and now you're going to be playing games in the new Allegiant Stadium, home of the Raiders.
Yeah,
how exciting is that?
That's extremely exciting. I can only imagine being a recruit and walking into the new Fertitta facility, and then every game you play, you're playing in an NFL stadium. You can't beat that. It's a great opportunity, even for the talent that's currently on the team. Every day they could potentially be having NFL scouts from the Oakland Raiders kind of watching their games. So I'm excited to go to Rebel games and then stay that Sunday and go watch a Raider game and enjoy myself for the weekend. So I think where the program is headed is the right direction, especially with adding the new facilities and playing at the stadium. The sky's the limit for UNLV football.
Guys, this is from Jake Applebaum on YouTube. Caleb and Devontae, what UNLV uniforms, back to the uniforms, do you like better, these ones or the current UNLV threads?
Definitely the current threads, not a question. I don't want to hear it, Devontae. Don't say nothing. The current threads.
The current threads, but I'll say that all gray that we wore versus Reno, the all grays we pulled out, probably that's still my favorite uniform we've had. So
are those the ones? Did they have the Fremont Cannon on the helmet? Are those that?
Yeah, those. The all gray. Those are nice.
Yeah.
Hey guys, man, I think we have to start wrapping up around here.
Caleb, where was you running?
There goes Caleb running.
I was
off
running
the
to
field.
sing the fight song.
Oh,
Like,
sing
'cause
the
I
fight song. There
started.
you go.
I started to walk to the locker room, and so I was late to the fight song. So I had to sprint across the field to get back. Because you got to sing the fight song after wins at Sam Boyd. You know.
Guys, we really appreciate you being with us. Caleb Herring, of course, and Devontae Davis. Great memories tonight. And you guys are going to be seen down the road as part of the foundation of this Rebel football program. So thank you so much. And for all the fans tuning in, don't forget to get your UNLV football season tickets. Just a $50 deposit, please. And you can call UNLV tickets at 739-FANS and then UNLVtickets.com. Thank you once again to the Mountain West. And thank you again to everyone who tuned in. Good night, everyone.